All right, so welcome to Instagram Live and YouTube Live for learning Materia Medica with a new approach. And today will be three summer remedies at 3 p.m. So, what is interesting is that there is lot of information available about many remedies all the time in the Materia Medica, and we have to collect a lot of information and register it in our minds, and we can take some information at a time, not everything at a time, and that is why we need to understand this approach. So today we will learn about three important remedies, and those remedies are kali bichromicum, antimcrude, and synapis nigra. So these remedies are going to be an integral part of your prescriptions if you are practicing in a country or in a city where there is summer right now and it's damn hot, and there are a lot of patients with you, or some patients which are complaining of uh, you know some complaints related to the summer season. So let's go over and read over the first remedy, which is Kali bichromicum. Now, what is Kali bichromicum? That should be the first question that should strike your mind. When I was a student in my first year of BHMS, and I there were around 70 80 drugs which we had to memorize, and we had this Materia Medica of Dubay. And interestingly, the first remedy that was told to study and was being taught when I joined the college was Kali Carbonicum. Now, for the next few weeks, like say 2 to 6 weeks of my initial joining, I was wondering whether Kali Carb is a drug. I mean, like how we have the allopathic medicines, or is he a person? Is he? Is it a remedy to be given to a person, uh, or is it a chemical compound? And these all questions kept on, you know, uh, clouding my mind, and I was not able to understand. So similarly, we should be inquisitive in this way to understand the different compounds that we have in our homeopathy, the different plants we have, and different animals that we have, and all the imponderabilias, the nosodes, the sarcodes, etc., etc. And of course, with due course of time, I understood that Kali carbonicum, which I studied in the college in the first year, was a remedy to be given to a person who exhibits such features. But today, uh, I will be sharing something about Kali bichromicum, and it is already available a lot of data, but it's scattered in too many places, and to bring it to uh, one single session or document or PowerPoint is very difficult. There is a lot of data, but I'll try to concise it in as much short time as possible today in the Instagram Live and YouTube Live. We are doing simultaneous Instagram and YouTube Live for the attendees who wish to learn about this interesting facet and new way of learning. So let's get into it. And what is Kali bichromicum? So actually, the Kali bichromicum is a element which is soluble chromium salt. Now it is found in wet cement, welding fumes, chrome tanned leather, and anti-rust paint. So how does it matter to a homeopath? I mean, we are just practicing using the drugs given by our master, and it doesn't matter where it comes from. But a true homeopath will know that there is a doctrine of signature, and if that doctrine of signature also has a background which is what element it is composed of, if it is a plant, if it is an animal, if it is mineral, and does it do. So if you go and study the literature, you will see that chromium salts cause allergy. And if you study all the chemical exposure of chromium salts, it has caused nasal perforation and nasal ulcers. And if you get in contact with the chromium salts or some chromium compounds, it causes allergies. Now, what has happened in accidental provings or poisonings? It is that the factory workers who swallowed bichromate of potassium, which is Kali bichromicum, had developed severe gastric irritation and pain in the epigastric region. It was more of a heaviness rather than a pain. And also, accidentally, many times, if you have renovated your home, if you have, undertook taken the repairing of your home or any place, and you have been exposed to cement, that cement exposure to your skin or your respiratory system has caused allergy. So this is attributed to the Kali bichromicum in that present in the cement or that cement quality. Now, how does it matter to a homeopath? Comes next. There was a homeopath named as Drisdale, who is the authority, I would say. And if you go back and study all the provings, you will understand that Drisdale had found some factory workers who were exposed to those chromium fumes, and within the first few days of getting exposed, the nasal secretions had increased, and there was watery secretion, especially aggravated by open air. And slowly they developed soreness in the nose, and after the soreness, it so happened that there was redness and fetid smell also, which they felt all the time. There was a sensation. And then came the stage where the nose became pus filled and the nose got blocked, and then it destroyed the nasal bones and the sense of smell was gone. So you understand this pattern of getting exposed to chromium salts or chromium fumes which the factory workers had, and how the symptomatology of homeopathic provings and pathologies will develop. Now when we go next and see the sphere of action of Calibicromicum based upon these accidental poisonings and provings was found to be more on the air, especially the air passages, the nasal and the pharynx, and the gastrointestinal tract, which is especially the stomach and duodenum. That's all. Now, the best way to study a drug is to compare it with the other drugs. You will have lectures and lectures and lectures in your college, in your clinical practice, and everywhere out in the homeopathic domain, which will give you that this remedy has XYZ symptom, ABCD, ABCD, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and hundreds of symptoms. But you will never be able to understand it until and unless you compare it with another remedy. And if you compare it with another remedy, you will be able to understand how this remedy stands in the face of other remedies. And what is interesting over here is, the first thing which I want to tell you is that Drisdale, the person who proved the remedy I just shared about, and those who have joined later on can again go to the recording. It will be put up for a short while, and you can understand how the proving happened and accidental poisoning happened by those people who were exposed to the chromium fumes. So, in the respiratory sphere, the Kali bichromicum is compared with arsenic album. Okay, and there is lot of increase of mucous membrane and mild irritation, which slowly and gradually leads to extensive tissue destruction. In skin symptoms, you can compare Kali bichromicum with entimtart and crotontic. Now, surprisingly, many homeopaths or new beginners will give Kali crotontic for diarrhea cases, but crotontic is a very very good remedy for skin complaints also. So we'll cover that very soon in some of the future sessions if you are part of this learning journey. Also, you can compare Kali bichromicum in the spheres of larynx and trachea with bromium iodine and spongia. What are the peculiarities of Kali bichromicum and other remedies? I'll be coming to it very soon in the next few minutes. And in the liver sphere, you can compare the Kali bichromicum with mercurius, and on periosteum, which is the bones where the erosion happens. The you know remedy can be compared with Mesothelium and Phytolacca. So once in a while, you will have a case somewhere in your future practice where the bone destruction has happened, or kind of it's moving towards that pathology, and you will have symptoms of Phytolacca, but you can also think of Mesothelium and Kali bichromicum. So in this way, you can go on and try to understand the different remedies when you compare from their sphere of action, their way of working, and the different remedies. And in its general action, like, you feel that the patient is Kali bichromicum, but he has landed up to you in the winter season, and you don't seem to uh, be confident that Kali bichromicum will do the work. So you can think of Hepar sulf, which is very good remedy again, which has similar level of action like Kali bichromicum. And the other remedy which is especially suited in damp weather is Kali iodatum. Now let's go over to the materia medica. When you understood these aspects of how the different remedies stand in comparison with each other, you will see that their Ellen says that it is more suited to fat and light-haired persons who have catarrhal or syphilitic or soric affection. So you can see this remedy will have a wide range of applicability from soric, psychotic, syphilitic, especially it will be soric syphilitic affections, right? Now, coming back to Drisdale, Drisdale says that the Kali bichromicum will have the left side headache in one spot, especially. You know that this remedy has pain in spots, but he says that the pain in spot is more connected with the gastric derangement, and that is what can be readily and easily be cured by Kali bichromicum than with other remedies. Now, interesting thing, everyone reads Boric, but there was one line hidden which I somewhere in my practice found very useful, and that is that it is a remedy which can be given of, uh, you know, in cases where there is indolent complaints. There is a subacute phase. The patient is not so violently landed up in your clinic. The complaint has happened 2 days back, 3 days back, and now the complaints have started showing its true nature, and the patient is irritated, and there is a lot of mucosal discharges, catarrhal discharges that are happening. That is where you can think of Kali bichromicum. So the patient has taken the responsibility of handling himself for the first few days. He wanted to treat himself and do all the home remedies, but he was unsuccessful, and now he has landed up in your desk. This is the state where you should think of Kali bichromicum, and not the exactly acute state. There can be some acute states, but you need to define from the modalities. Uh, Going further, Bogar says that there are slow and deep processes, and little fever will be there. Actually, Boric also mentions that there is absence of fever or very less fever, but there is great weakness. Like Kali and potash salts, they all have a lot of weakness instantly or immediately as the complaints start. And you will see lot of diagonal complaints. So if you will have body pains, it will be on one part of the body, and another part of the head will be affected, or one sided headache will be there, or there will be more of shoulder pain or body pain which is on the other side of the upper part affection. Now we will see further where uh, there are some modalities, and the modalities point towards uh, open air usually aggravates the nasal symptoms. Okay, but the patient will generally feel better. in outside air. Touch will aggravate the symptoms, but pressure will ameliorate, except some sciatica pains. And eating will cause cough to the chylomicron patient, and there will be more or less a kind of a weight or heaviness in the abdomen rather than the actual pain. Now, you studied about the doctrine of signature, you studied about some part of the materia medica. Most of it is also available in your on your desk. Now I will take you to another aspect which will give you the peculiar feature of kali bichromicum, and that is the unique rubrics in various repertories. One of the repertories I very frequently refer for understanding these frequent peculiar rubrics is nair repertory. There is a very interesting symptom, only single remedy kali bichromicum, where it says that patient wants to blow the nose constantly but there is no discharge. And additionally there is a kind of a pressure in the nose, so there will always be a fullness or a kind of a tension and pressure in the nose which the patient will complain. And you will have many patients, especially in summer season, who will tell that there is lot of heat going in the nasal passages, mouth and the ear. So you can think of kali bichromicum in that symptom also. The nair repertory says about one interesting symptom which is nose heat air, expired head air feels hot. So all the time the patient complains that there is this kind of air which I breathe in or breathe out and it feels hot all the time. Another remedy which you can think of it is bryonia and also sulfur. Uh, since kali bichromicum has lot of dryness and mucous membranes are dried up because they land up to you in on the third or fourth day, you will have a patient who wants to bring out the discharge but it does not come. But he will also give you an additional symptom that I am able to generate some discharge but it passes from my throat back in the stomach, and all the problems start after that. You know, for the kali bichromicum this problem starts after their nasal and the stomach symptoms are aggravated. So you have this interesting rubric where nair says that there is stopped up feeling of the nose, especially the upper part, but the nasal mucosa which he tries to bring out, it readily passes in the posterior nares. All right, so let's go further. And you have the next is that a thematic study which I usually do, but since we are over here to discuss something about the acute prescription of kali bichromicum, it will be less uh, apt to use them over here. But to give you an idea, just like you're understanding kali bichromicum more on the physical level, exactly in the thematic area as well, or from the thematic prescription, from the mineral kingdom prescription, the patient focuses more on his physical pathology than the mental disturbances. So if his material needs are not met, he will get irritable, he will get angry. Now this is more of a topic for discussion in the workshops where you study about the kali feature or the bichromicum feature or chromium feature. But over here it's not so valid because we are more focused on the acute prescription and the summer remedy prescription. All right, so I just gave you an idea, brief idea about kali bichromicum, how the doctrine of signature is important, what is kali bichromicum, what happened in industrial accidental poisonings, and what type of patient you will see. Exactly the same patient that I shared with you all about accidental poisoning in the cases of chromium fumes exposure or chromium salts exposure. The same thing will happen in a lot of your patients also. The next remedy what we will have is antim crude. And antim crude, if you just differentiate from kali bichromicum has thick yellowish tongue, whereas antim crude has a pure whitish coat. Now, when you try to understand antimony sulf, okay, antim crude is nothing but antimony trisulfide. So there are three compounds of sulfur and one compound of antimony. So you can say that it is half metal, half sulfur. Once you understand this concept, and you know that your chemistry is good, or you just want to go and study the chemistry, or you have resources, I'm coming up with a lot of literature which brings together everything: what is the element, how it is working at the biochemical level, at organic level, at physiological level, and what will be the symptoms that happened in the provings, what were the symptoms in materia medica, and what are the symptoms in the repertory. And when you have this entire collection, you are more surer of your prescription. So for antim crude, it is more of half metal, half sulfur. So you know that there will be traces of symptoms of metal as well as there will be traces of symptoms of sulfur. And it is, again, now this remedy, like Calibicromicum, is very similar to arsenic. Calibicromicum was also similar to arsenic. So antimony crude is also very similar to arsenic. And in fact, the antimony poisoning, which happened many times accidentally, is also similar to arsenic poisoning. Now we all know the sphere of action of antim crude, and that is the gastric system, the liver, the skin, the CNS. There is just one thing which you need to know to understand antim crude, and that one thing is that there is a depressed vitality of the mucous membranes and skin which does not go to inflammation. So if you have a case which is kind of a very irritable, very sluggish, very lot of mucus is catarrh is falling from the mouth, mostly the gastric is infected rather than the air passages, and there is lot of irritations, lot of acid that is troubling the patient, got lot of irritations, lot of gastritis, the vitality is depressed, especially of the mucous membrane, or you will have some skin symptoms where there is kind of a sluggish response of the skin to clear its debris or the natural process that has to happen. If you understand this part, your understanding of anti-crude will improve 10 times, 50 times better in the clinic, when the patient will describe of some symptoms which have been troubling them for the last 4 5 days, and now they have landed at your desk. And mostly these symptoms must be gastric or kind of sluggishness related to the body fluids, especially the bile, or they are constipated. So the mucous membranes are loaded and there is a slow digestion, and that is why they will have nausea and vomiting. So when there is lot of collection of fluid, what will happen? There will be an overflow, and this overflow happens for antim crude from the in the way of nausea, irritations, vomiting, or kind of a diarrhea. If you understand this aspect, your journey to understand antim crude becomes far more easier than going through hundreds and piles of symptoms in the materia medica and trying to figure out what happens in antim crude patient. So there will be thick coated tongue, irritability. Fatak says very interestingly that there is antim crude, like the name suggests, the patient also has crude symptoms in the mental as well as the physical aspect. And you will see lumpy effects. So because, just going back to the few minutes earlier symptom which I shared, essence that I shared, there is decreased vitality or depressed vitality of the mucous membrane. So if the mucous membranes are sluggish, slow, if the fluids are not cleared for a long time, lumpy effects are bound to happen, and it is suited to extremes of life. Again, here comes the depressed vitality or the gradual development of vitality. And if it is suited to extremes of life, the decreased vitality is seen in either growing age, either the geriatric age, or in growing age it is gradually improving. So you will have this patient who has lot of mucus always, or something which is disturbing his gastric sphere, and he's not able to clear that load, mucus load, and that is why these complaints have happened. So in this way you can, kind of gain an understanding over this remedy which is antimcrude. Many such patients will come to you in summer. They have taken lot of cold drinks, and they have been roaming out or in the sun because of their work or some non-essential work, and they have developed aphonia. So if there is lot of overeating that has happened, and then the aphonia or hoarseness or voice related symptoms have developed, you can again think of antimcrude in this case. It is complementary to squilla, but it is more similar in action to bryonia, ipecac, lyco, and pulsatilla. Now, Nair repertory says that there is fullness as if he has eaten too much, and fullness and flatulence as if the wind doesn't pass. Now, again, you go back to few minutes earlier discussion, and it says of depressed vitality and decreased vitality of the mucous membrane, which is what happens in the gastric sphere also. So everywhere you see this symptom which is present, and it is connected to the accumulation of mucus or accumulation of a lot of body fluids in one place, you can think of antimcrude. The third remedy which you should think of in summer is Sinapis nigra. Uh, there are many remedies you can think of in summer, but today I am just bringing the top three remedies which can be indicated in certain cases. Now, Sinapis nigra, if you go over this remedy, you can understand that it is kind of a mustard. And if you trace what's there in the background, what's happening with the chemical composition of this plant, you can see that it has a component which is known as cinegreen, and this component irritates the mucous membranes, especially the pharynx. Now, when you understand this, you see that Sinapis nigra has symptoms mostly related to the air passages, stomach, and the bladder. And there is a dry throat or dry nasal membrane, mucous membrane, but also it has thick secretion. So you have the combination of dryness as well as secretion, which is a kind of a thick secretion. Now, there are very less literature available from the materia medica aspect for Sinapis nigra, but I'll share something which, especially in the materia medica, which is what we have on our desk, like boric or just Nash or something like that. You have very less literature available. But if you go to Herring, if you go to Ellen's Encyclopedia and lot of primitive books, you will find a lot of literature, especially in the Nair repertory, because that is a condensation of Herring's Materia Medica, and it will make your job easier to understand. I took some interesting symptoms or rubrics of Synapse nigra from Nair repertory for you all. And those rubrics are that there is, firstly, there is a kind of a thin acrid discharge which is happening, and also there is a stoppage of nostrils. So you will have a patient who will complain of, doctor, I feel that there is kind of this stoppage of nose which is happening since the last few days, but also the same nose is giving me a discharge, and I am very much confused whether I should tell you that it is blocked, or it stopped, or it can be brought out. And this should give you an indication of Synapis nigra, because it is one of the only remedies present in rubric where it says that there is stoppage of nostrils, but there is alternation of profuse discharge. And also there is one interesting symptom in Synapis nigra, that all through the day he will not have sneezing, but especially when he goes to lie down at night, he will have sneezing. And similar to Calibicromicum, which has the fullness of nasal region, especially the glabella region, Synapis nigra is also another remedy which has this kind of obstruction at the root of the nose. So you'll have this case of coryza cough, which may complain of one part of the nose blocked. but the same is also giving me discharge. Think of synapse niagara. There will be a case where the patient complains that there is lot of dryness but the discharge is all the time happening, or there is alternation of discharge and the blockage of nose. You can think of synapse niagara. If there are thick or lumpy effects, you can think of kali bichromicum. So we come to an end of today's session, but if you all wish to learn in this way, in similar way, you can try to join our workshops, which are kind of related to case taking and rubric workshop and kingdom differentiation workshop, which is right now going on. And many such workshops are coming soon, like understanding coughs, mastering fevers and all. And there is a lot of learning available for everyone in a new way, something that you have not experienced, something that you have rarely believed in or experienced so far. And if you wish to join, you have the details on our Instagram page or YouTube channel, and you can definitely contact us so that my team will get back to you. But I hope today's session gave you an good idea over some of the top three remedies. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, or else we call it a day.